ExamPrep.School. Maine Property and Casualty Insurance Producer Exam. Exam code 12-ME-3. There are 4 practice exams in this series. This video covers Practice Exam 1. The first 20 questions are free. In this video, we will be covering the following major categories for Practice Exam 1. Casualty General Knowledge. Maine laws H rules common to property and casualty. Maine laws rules pertinent to casualty insurance. Maine laws rules pertinent to property insurance. Property General Knowledge. Let's walk through the format. I'll read each question and its choices. Let's get started. Question 1. Under a standard H03 policy, which of the following dwelling losses would be covered that is not covered under an H02 broad form? A. Collapse of a porch roof due to ice accumulation. B. Structural damage from sewer backup. C. Damage from termite infestation. D. Gradual deterioration from wear and tear. A countdown circle appears in the top right. Once it completes, the answer is revealed. You can pause at any time if you'd like longer to think. If you'd like additional practice covering more topics, see the description for our book. The correct answer is A. The collapse of a porch roof under ice accumulation is an open perils loss covered by H03 on buildings, but is not among the named perils in H02. The other listed losses are either excluded by both forms or not covered under open perils provisions. Reason B is not correct. Backup of sewers is specifically excluded under both H02 and H03. Reason C is not correct. Infestation by insects is excluded under both H02 and H03 policies. Reason D is not correct. Wear and tear losses are excluded by both HO, 2 named perils, and HO3 open perils forms. Question 2. Under an H05 comprehensive form, which loss to personal property would be excluded? A. Mechanical breakdown of kitchen appliances. B. Theft of collectibles from inside the dwelling. C. Vandalism caused damage to a living room window. D. Accidental discharge of water from household plumbing. The correct answer is A. Mechanical breakdown is specifically excluded under H05 personal property coverage. H05's open perils coverage includes theft, vandalism, and accidental water discharge, but excludes losses due to mechanical or electrical failures. Reason B is not correct. Theft of collectibles inside the dwelling is covered under H05 open perils. Reason C is not correct. Vandalism damage to glass is a covered open peril under H05. Reason D is not correct. Accidental water discharge from plumbing is a covered open peril. Question 3. Which coverage designation is not included under a standard H04 tenants policy? A. Coverage A, dwelling. B. Coverage B, other structures. C. Coverage C, personal property. D. Coverage D, loss of use. The correct answer is A. H04 is a tenant's form and does not provide coverage A for the dwelling itself. It does provide coverage C for personal property, coverage D for loss of use, and excludes other structures since they are not the insured's responsibility. Reason B is not correct. Coverage B for other structures is not included, but the question asks for the one not included under the standard form, and tenants do not insure the building itself under coverage A. Reason C is not correct. Coverage C for personal property is provided under H04. Reason D is not correct. Coverage D for loss of use is provided when the rental becomes uninhabitable. Question 4. In a standard H06 unit owner's policy, coverage A limits for improvements and betterments are typically set at what percentage of coverage C? A. 25%. B. 75%. C. 100%. D. 50%. The correct answer is D. H06 policies generally establish coverage A improvements and betterments at 50% of the coverage C limit for personal property. This reflects the typical proportion insurers allow for unit owners to insure building-related improvements. Reason A is not correct, and 25% is below the customary limit for improvements under H06. Reason B is not correct. 75% exceeds the standard proportion allocated to coverage A in most H06 forms. Reason C is not correct. 100% would imply full dwelling coverage, which is not typical for unit owners' policies. Question 5. Which settlement method applies to dwelling losses under a standard H08 functional replacement cost form? A. Guaranteed replacement cost. B. Replacement cost without depreciation. C. Agreed value without depreciation. D. Actual cash value with depreciation. The correct answer is D. Under an H08 form, dwelling losses are settled on an actual cash value basis, which factors in depreciation. This differs from full replacement cost, agreed value, or guaranteed replacement cost settlement methods. Reason A is not correct. Guaranteed replacement cost is not provided under the H08 form. Reason B is not correct. Replacement cost without depreciation is not available under H08. Reason C is not correct. Agreed value provisions are not used in standard H08 policies. Question 6. Which of the following perils is included under the dwelling basic DP1 form without endorsement? A. Damage by hail. B. Collapse from weight of ice or snow. C. Theft of residents' personal property. D. Internal explosion. The correct answer is D. The DP1 form covers only fire or lightning and internal explosion as named perils. Hail, collapse from ice or snow, and theft are not included unless specifically added by endorsement. Reason A is not correct. Hail is not covered by DP1 unless added through an endorsement. Reason B is not correct. Collapse from ice or snow is excluded and must be endorsed on DP1. Reason C is not correct. Theft of personal property is not included under the DP1 form. Question 7. Under the dwelling broad, DP2 form, which listed peril is covered for dwelling structures but not under DP1 without endorsement? A. Weight of ice, sleet, or snow. B. Vandalism or malicious mischief. C. Freezing of household plumbing. D. Rot or fungus damage. The correct answer is A. DP2 includes coverage for weight of ice, sleet, or snow causing damage to the dwelling, which is not covered under DP1 without endorsement. The other perils either require additional endorsement or are excluded. Reason B is not correct. Vandalism is not included in DP2 unless the policy has been in effect for a specified period. Reason C is not correct. Freezing of plumbing is an optional peril under DP2 and not basic. Reason D is not correct. Rot or fungus damage is excluded under DP2. Question 8. Under a dwelling special, DP3 form, coverage A for the dwelling is provided on which basis? A. Open perils basis. B. Named perils basis. C. Agreed value basis. D. Actual cash value basis. The correct answer is A. DP3 ensures the dwelling on an open perils basis, covering all causes of loss except those specifically excluded. Other coverages or methods listed do not apply to coverage A under the special form. Reason B is not correct. Named perils basis applies to personal property in DP3, not to coverage A. Reason C is not correct. Agreed value basis is not used for coverage A under DP3. Reason D is not correct. Actual cash value basis is not how coverage A is provided under DP3. Question 9. After a fire renders the Smith family's HO3 home unlivable, they incur costs for temporary housing and increased living expenses. Under the HO3 policy's loss of use provisions, which coverage reimburses these additional expenses? A. Coverage D, fair rental value. B. Coverage D, additional living expense. C. Coverage C, personal property losses. D. Coverage A, dwelling structure repairs. The correct answer is B. The additional living expense coverage under loss of use reimburses increased living cost when the residence is uninhabitable. Reason A is not correct. Fair rental value covers lost rental income, not additional living costs. Reason C is not correct. Personal property covers belongings, not living expenses. Reason D is not correct. Dwelling covers structural repairs, not living expenses. Question 10. After hiring a contractor to repair his deck, Mr. Lee discovers that the contractor tripped on a misplaced tool and sustained a broken wrist. The contractor subsequently sues Mr. Lee for bodily injury. Under Mr. Lee's HO3 policy, which coverage will respond to this lawsuit? A. Coverage F, medical payments to others. B. Coverage E, personal liability. C. Coverage C, personal property. D. Coverage D, loss of use. The correct answer is B. Personal liability coverage responds to lawsuits for bodily injury that the insured is legally responsible for, covering defense and any judgment. Reason A is not correct. Medical payments covers immediate medical costs without legal liability. Reason C is not correct. Personal property covers damage to belongings, not liability claims. Reason D is not correct. Loss of use covers living expense or rental losses, not liability suits. Question 11. A guest visits the Johnsons and slips on a wet floor, incurring medical bills. The Johnsons file a claim for the guest's medical expenses. Under coverage F of the HO3 policy, within what time frame must these expenses be incurred to qualify for payment? A. Within 1 year of the accident. B. Within 2 years of the accident. C. Within 3 years of the accident. D. Within 4 years of the accident. The correct answer is C. Coverage F pays reasonable medical expenses for others incurred within 3 years of the accident, regardless of liability. Reason A is not correct. The allowable period extends beyond 1 year. Reason B is not correct. The allowable period extends beyond 2 years. Reason D is not correct. The policy limit is 3 years, not 4. Question 12. An insured's $6,000 diamond necklace is stolen from her HO3 home. The policy has a $1,500 special limit for jewelry and a $500 deductible. How much will the insurer pay for the loss? A. $6,000. B. $1,500. C. $5,500. D. $1,000. The correct answer is D. The special per item jewelry limit caps reimbursement at $1,500. After subtracting the $500 deductible, the net payment is $1,000. Reason A is not correct. This ignores both the policy limit and the deductible. Reason B is not correct. This ignores the deductible applied to the covered loss. Reason C is not correct. This ignores the special jewelry limit and deductible. Question 13. Under an HO3 policy with dwelling coverage, a limit of $200,000 and a 1% deductible, a fallen tree causes $7,500 in roof damage. In the absence of other sublimits, how much will the insurer pay? A. $7,500. B. $2,000. C. $5,500. D. $0. The correct answer is C. The deductible equals $2,000, 1% of the $200,000 limit. Subtracting that from the $7,500 loss yields a payment of $5,500. Reason A is not correct. This ignores the deductible reduction. Reason B is not correct. This is the deductible amount, not the net payment. Reason D is not correct. Damage exceeds the deductible, so some payment is due. Question 14. The homeowners leave their HO3 residence unoccupied for 75 consecutive days. While away, vandalism causes $2,000 in damage. The insurer denies the claim based on vacancy provisions. After how many consecutive days of vacancy does the HO3 policy typically exclude vandalism coverage? A. 30 days. B. 60 days. C. 90 days. D. 120 days. The correct answer is B. HO3 policies exclude vandalism and similar perils after the dwelling has been vacant for more than 60 consecutive days. Reason A is not correct. The exclusion period exceeds 30 days. Reason C is not correct. The policy applies the exclusion sooner than 90 days. Reason D is not correct. The policy's vacancy exclusion begins well before 120 days. Question 15. In a standard ISO commercial property policy, where are the covered causes of loss typically indicated? A. In the conditions section of the policy. B. In the definition section preceding the coverage forms. C. In the causes of loss form attached to the policy. D. On the declarations page under loss payee information. The correct answer is C. The causes of loss form specifies perils insured against under a commercial property policy, whereas other sections define terms or outline obligations. Reason A is not correct. The conditions section outlines policy terms and insured obligations, not specific perils. Reason B is not correct. The definitions section clarifies terminology but does not list covered causes of loss. Reason D is not correct. The declarations page shows policy limits and insured details, not the perils insured. Question 16. Which of the following is covered property under the ISO building and personal property coverage form? A. Machinery attached to the building's foundation. B. Tenants' money and securities. C. Accounts receivable records. D. Goods in transit off premises. The correct answer is A. Building fixtures and permanently installed machinery attached to the foundation are covered, while money, accounts receivable, and off-premises goods require separate coverage. Reason B is not correct. Money and securities are excluded and require separate crime or valuable papers endorsement. Reason C is not correct. Accounts receivable are not covered under the BPP form unless a separate endorsement is purchased. Reason D is not correct. Goods in transit are not covered by the BPP form and need inland marine or transit coverage. Question 17. Under the business income with extra expense form, which of the following expenses is covered as extra expense? A. Renting temporary office space to continue operations. B. Upgrading facilities beyond pre-loss condition. C. Paying penalties for contract breaches. D. Interest on outstanding loans. The correct answer is A. Extra expense coverage reimburses costs to minimize business interruption and continue operations, such as renting temporary premises. Upgrades and financial penalties are excluded. Reason B is not correct. Costs to upgrade beyond pre-loss condition are excluded under extra expense coverage. Reason C is not correct. Penalties for contract breaches are not covered as extra expense. Reason D is not correct. Interest payments on loans are excluded from extra expense coverage. Question 18. Which phrase best defines the period of restoration in a commercial property policy? A. Time from loss until the insurer pays the claim. B. Duration between direct physical loss and full repair with reasonable speed. C. Interval from policy inception to the first covered loss. D. Span from claim filing until adjustment is completed. The correct answer is B. The period of restoration begins at direct physical loss and ends when property is repaired or replaced with reasonable speed under comparable conditions of use. Reason A is not correct. Payment timing does not define the period of restoration. Reason C is not correct. Policy inception to loss occurrence is not related to restoration period. Reason D is not correct. Claims handling time is unrelated to the restoration time frame. Question 19. Which ordinance or law coverage option pays for the cost to demolish and remove undamaged portions of a building required by law? A. Coverage A, loss to the undamaged portion. B. Coverage B, demolition cost coverage. C. Coverage C, increased cost of construction. D. Coverage D, supplemental loss adjustment. The correct answer is B. Coverage B specifically covers demolition and debris removal of undamaged portions when required by ordinance or law, whereas the other options address different exposures. Reason A is not correct. Loss to undamaged portions, coverage A, covers loss value, not demolition costs. Reason C is not correct. Coverage C addresses increased construction costs, not demolition. Reason D is not correct. No coverage D exists for ordinance or law coverage in standard forms. Question 20. What is the maximum eligible gross annual sales for a business to qualify for a standard business owner's policy? A. Less than $1 million. B. Up to $3 million. C. Up to $5 million. D. Up to $10 million. The correct answer is B. Standard business owners' policies are designed for small businesses with gross annual sales not exceeding $3 million. Larger sales volumes require commercial package policies. Reason A is not correct. A $1 million threshold is too low for standard BOP eligibility. Reason C is not correct. A $5 million cap exceeds typical BOP underwriting limits. Reason D is not correct. A $10 million threshold is too high for standard BOP eligibility. Enjoyed this practice test? Tap like, hit subscribe, and share it with a classmate. Got a question we should tweak? Comment below. We read them all. Find full practice exam books in the description or at ExamPrep.School.